in there in some depth. So look for that. But got a comment in here. Oh, I know who this guy is. One of my favorites. I got to put my. Okay, so I'll explain the glasses in a minute. Misador says, Ray's working a good old yank and crank. By the way, brother, thanks for that comment. Yeah, you're. Wow, that was weird. You see how slow that comment came and went. But yeah, again, yanking crank fishing, extreme fishing apparel. You know what? I apologize because I do this. I just realized something, so I'm using Peter Blake's Facebook page. Hey, brother. So I just realized that right now Peter's phone is blowing up because I got that banner running. And maybe I shouldn't have that crawl. So let me do this. Let me go ahead and get that off there. And if y'all want to call him, feel free. Just tell Peter that you've seen it. You saw it here on Cup of Ray. Look at me holding my glasses. This is so bad. So again, comments. I love Mock, the offensive lineman. I love the fact that Jason Light continues to go to the strength of this Buccaneers team. Defensive line, offensive line, and then a little secondary. Defensive line, offensive line, then a little secondary, which I think Jason Light now. Of course, Mike Evans is his first draft pick ever in 2014 when he comes in and takes over the general manager's job as the Buccaneers. But hey, there he is. Hey, Peter, how are you, my friend?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing? How long did it take you to think that I was actually messing around with the crawl there?
I thought that's why I hit it once or twice and it's jumping. I didn't see you in the lobby, my friend. Thanks for coming in here.
It's been a busy day, hasn't it? I mean, open phone lines. Let's see what you guys think about this Buccaneer draft today, yesterday, the day before. It's been 3 days of an extravaganza, if you will. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. So what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good. Like I said, though, the storms are, and you're the one, you told me about it the other night I get off of UPS, and you're like, hey, Ray, get home. Of course, you were doing the draft. It was the night after. That was the actual night of the NFL draft. But same thing today. We're kind of getting some of these storms. But, Pete, we've needed this rain, so I'm not going to complain about that.
Well, it's an omen because you got Game 6 of the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. It did the same thing the other night. And guess what? The Lightning were able to pull it out. So I have a feeling they're going to pull it out again. I don't see them losing 3 straight home games at the end of the day. And I tell you right now, if they do win tonight, which I do expect them to accomplish,
yes,
all the pressure is going to be on the Maple Leafs, even if they're going home, because they have not been able to close out any teams at all. They weren't able to close out the Tampa Bay Lightning last year. Let's see if they can do it this year. So a great game tonight. And, of course, the Rays are playing also today.
Yeah, the Rays are playing on the south side against the White Sox. You got Foucher in there, which he's been lit up once. He actually, last game, he got through a few innings, but it's basically the 2023 version of the Rays opener. So, Rays fans, when we're talking about a Rasmussen, as we're talking about a Sugar Shane McClanahan or a Eflin, or maybe the fact that we're going to get a certain Tyler Glass now back. The opener, Rays fan always kind of goes to me included. I'm like, if we can get through the first 1 or 2 innings, then it's going to be a pretty good game, my friend.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to share the show right now.
No, go ahead. I'll tell you what, I'm glad. Let me go full screen and I appreciate you, brother, for coming in here. I haven't had a chance to talk with you, but talking about these Buccaneer draft picks, Pete, and, you can just stay verbal on this, this is Jason Light pretty much staying right along the lines of Jason Light, right? Defensive line, edge rush, offensive line, and then he throws in a tight end for good measure. I mean, you don't mess with that recipe, and it seems like it's working for Jason Light and these Buccaneers, right?
Well, it's, for me, the focus has been fast and physical, and that's exactly what you've gotten here the last couple of days, fast and physical. No matter how they look, they seem like they're physical at the point of attack. You got Cody Mock there, who a lot of people are talking about, the redhead, making lots of jokes about him looking like Ryan Jensen or O'Keefe, and, of course, Ryan Jensen had a baby. That's what you would get. Certainly seems like he's a physical guard. Is going to be the guard of this team. So now, where do the Bucs go? Do they go with Tristan Wirfs on the left side and you go with Gedeke on the right? Do you reunite and it feels so good with Donovan Smith on the left side and keep Tristan Wirfs on the right? I mean, what do you do? But at the end of the day, with the picking of Mock in the second round, that has given this offensive line and, of course, Jason Light versatility to explore that option.
Yeah, and I think that with the injury to Ryan Jensen in 2022 and the fact that you had to scramble that offensive line as you're still recovering from an Ali Marpet retiring and from an Alex Kappa signing with the Bengals as a free agent, I mean, I think that the trials and tribulations this Buccaneers offensive line went through in 2022 will actually end up paying dividends in 2023. I think some guys got experience on this offensive line that's going to go far, and it's a good thing to be able to allow Jason Light to look at this line overall for the next 2 to 4 years and figure out, okay, who's my stalwarts and who's my stopgaps, and let's go.
Yeah, let's go. And, of course, in the third round, they go with Yaya Diaby. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. 6'3", 163-pounder with 4.5 speed. Heard Jason Light talk in his presser last night. His best football basically is in front of him. He's an edge rusher. He could play defensive end. You get a highly explosive, highly talented, somewhat raw, but even Light said last night in his presser, raw is not necessarily a bad thing because, once again, his best football is in front of him, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy.
Yeah, and brother, I mean, you go back and you look at a Logan Hall, who the Bucs, we draft last year out of Houston, Sac Avenue, and a Joe Tryon Shoyinka. And I know that the jury should be already coming back on a Joe Tryon, but the fact of the matter is, I still think with a healthy Shaq Barrett back and Vita Vea and Gage in the middle, but you also have Logan Hall, and you're bringing in this, you're bringing in some new blood. The fact of the matter is, you're continuing to, I think, on the defensive side, we could talk about linebacker and Devin White and Levante David and Cam Gill, or secondary and the importance of having a secondary that we have now that's been together going on almost 4 years, 3 years at least for Winfield and the guys, that you're talking about that defensive line, and Jason Light is going to make sure the Buccaneers moving forward are always poised to have pressure and speed on that D-line.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what it comes down to. And again, that was what the focus seems like it was today, especially on speed. And getting after the passer, and that's what you got to do. And this is what this Bucs team didn't necessarily do a lot of last year. So they're trying to get younger, they're trying to get faster, and they're trying to get more physical. They didn't have a fourth round pick, so you go in the fifth round, you get Savassier Dennis, past the Savassier. I got to say it because it's an old hip hop song.
I like it.
Savassier Dennis, linebacker out of Pittsburgh. The fifth round, you get Payne Durham, which I'm kind of trying to figure out if the Bucs are going to all tell us that they actually signed Karrion Kross from WWE, because they look exactly the same.
He does.
Physical tight end has only gotten better with experience. Can definitely block. Needs to work on that. 40 time, 4.87, but he looks faster on film at the end of the day. In round 6, they go for Josh Hayes, a corner defensive back. Is he a safety? Is he a corner? Once again, versatility. He can play, the slot. Also, the nephew of the late Geno Hayes, who used to play linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And by the way, did a show at 10:10 a.m. with him and the great Jenna Lane. True story. Round 6, you have Trey Palmer, who only one wide receiver last year, had 3 catches of over 70 yards. He has 4.31 speed. The problem is, the reason why he dropped in the 6th round is because he had 10 drops last year for Nebraska. And, of course, Jason Light, having the propensity, if you will, to draft Nebraska players. And then round 6, you got Jose Ramirez, the defensive end out of Eastern Michigan. So once we know that all these guys are going to be contributors right away. They may be special teamers, but at the end of the day, going back to it, is what we talked about. The focus for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2023 draft was fast and physical, and that's exactly what they did the last couple of days.
And, throw back to Jason Light, a Nebraska guy himself. Of course, it was Nebraska College he played for, defensive line, but loving the fact that, Jason Light seems to have an MO. We go back to, I think he started back in the may have been the mid 90s and down in Miami, but he starts as a scout draft, as a scout, going out there and finding his talent, finding these hidden gems, finding these, diamonds in the rough, if you will. Of course, he's in the room there in 2000 when Tom Brady gets drafted at 199. So, not that he made that call, but he was part of that secret sauce call, if you will. And I think that, it's always, Pete, you said this the other night. Great show, by the way, but you said
Thank
this. It's going to take it takes 2 to 4 years to figure out if this was a good draft or not. But I think that Jason Light continues to put the emphasis upon where the Buccaneers' bread is buttered, and that is the defensive line and then finding these gems on the offensive line.
Absolutely. I tell you what, let's go out to our 3 screen here. Let's go out to Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicap extraordinaire.
Nope. There you go.
1252 Chicago Sports. Would you guys think I was sleeping? I'm trying to share the show, trying to give you all the information. Harry the Greek, welcome to a Cup Array here live on the Sports Web on a Saturday night edition pregame show, getting you ready for Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, Rays versus the White Sox, and of course, recapping the draft.
Hi, Pete.
How you doing? There's a lot to take in there, right?
There's a lot to digest there. Just to let you know, I'd like to don the Chicago White Sox jersey.
I see that.
This is one of the really nicer shirts that I own, which I really like it.
I got to give you the race horn here. Because the last 2 games,
there's going to be, they shouldn't have won. Tampa shouldn't have beat them in that last game, but I'm glad they did because I just love the record that they're accomplishing. Yes. And this unbelievable team that the Chicago White Sox team has, they will all be gone by July. Here comes the fire sale.
Well, I'm telling you right now, you want to talk about a disappointing team in Major League Baseball.
Disappointing. It's the most disappointing team that I have personally witnessed in 56 years. Never.
Wow. All right, so let's go on and move on.
Ray, you got no audio, Ray.
Yeah, he's got no audio at this point.
Oh, I know. I was saying they're so young.
Are you on your soundboard?
No, Harry, because I'm getting ready to have another hurricane hit here. So I figured, and I want to thank Mr. Harry the Greek for him and I worked this morning setting that soundboard up. And I got I got the cables, the XLRs, and I was ready to do this thing. But I've been bounced around like a pinball in a pinball machine today because of this weather. I know there's a little front coming through right now, but I'm pretty good down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill.
I wish, you should have been on the beach because I was hoping you would have had an antenna on top of your umbrella about 20 feet in the air right out to the sand because this is perfect for it. I mean, I think it would be great. We get good views. I mean, because you would light up like a Christmas tree, son.
That's funny.
Go ahead. What were you going to say, Pete? Well, you were taking us somewhere.
Oh, well, no. I was just saying I wanted to comment. I wanted to ask Harry, what do you think about the Chicago Bears and their draft?
They had a really good draft, and as I was telling everybody from before, including you, come on, Bandit.
As the cat makes his appearance there, yep.
Jesus.
He's the cat's meow.
That's it. I'm the cat's meow. I said that they were going to go offense on that first pick, and then they were really going to address the defense. Well, they did. They got both big tackles, one from Florida, one from South Carolina. They drafted another cornerback, which they didn't need. But this corner, I know what they did, though. This corner is big enough. This corner is big enough to play safety as well.
Well, there you go. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's go out to the comments here because you read some of them, Ray. Roger says, "Hey, Ray, I'm here." Roger again, Pete, what's up? What's going on? We'll acknowledge
me.
Let's go out to Mickey. Hey, Misador. Mickey, Misador says Mock is a versatile lineman, can play all 5. He's athletic as hell.
No, he can't. He's not a. Sorry, me. I love you. I'll agree with everything you're saying. He cannot play all 5 positions. The guy is. Let's not even start this bull crap. The guy can play right guard, right tackle, and he's not a really good left tackle. They brought him in to fill the spot on the right side of this line. He is not a left guard. He is not a left tackle. Trust me on this. They had a big documentary on this guy on ESPN. What a great story. What a great character.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, I hope he never fixes that gap that he has because he's going to work it better than Michael Strahan did.
That's what I love about it is the fact that this guy was on my radar through, like, pardon my take, the pod with, Big Cat and PFT. This guy was football guy. I mean, I love this guy's game. And the funny thing was, go back to November, I was like, man, this is the kind of guy I would love to see the Buccaneers and Jason Light fine on one of his draft day finds, and then 3 or 4 years down the road, you're like, man, he just keeps on doing. And then, boom, they do get Cody Mock. He's in here. I love this guy's story.
No,
well,
the
you
story's
love
incredible. He's got
Yeah.
an incredible story. But no, I don't want to hear about how the guy can play 5 positions. Next thing you know, you can play running back and wide receiver. He plays on the right side of the line. He's a very physical guy. He lacks a little bit of traits with pass blocking. He's an extraordinary run blocker. But I'll tell you what, he puts on a few more pounds, and he is going to be really, 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 did I say really? Enough? Really good.
Really? Are you really excited?
Really?
Good.
Well,
Really?
How about you, Bandit? Are you excited?
Bandit seems very excited at
Bandit,
the end
you
of the day,
excited?
making an appearance. There's Jamie right there. Hello, Jamie. How you doing? Welcome.
There's the boss. There's the boss.
Ray here live.
Don't worry,
on the
he's
Sports
coming back.
Web. With that being said, Jason Light even talked about this, how Mock is most likely going to play one of the guard positions. I'm anticipating he goes to the left guard side. Hansy goes to the right guard side, and I think they're going to run with Gedeke at right tackle unless, Gary, you're correct, and you are sometimes here on this show, among other things, they pick up Donovan Smith. They go with him at the left tackle spot and just leave Tristan Wirfs alone at right tackle. I think they're going to go Tristan Wirfs at left tackle.
They have to now.
I think they're going to go Gedeke at right tackle.
They're already starting that transition. If he looks good in the preseason, it's going to be inevitable that Tristan Wirfs going to be the left tackle on this football team. I'm not a big supporter of this idea because I don't like the idea of trying to fix something that's not broke. And God bless it, that right side of that line was arguably one of the best in the entire National Football League. I'm talking, well, I shouldn't say that. The right tackle position is because I really like Tristan Wirfs.
Right.
So I wish him the best of luck on the left side. You know, Mock is going to go ahead and fill it in on the right side. You know, you got Godecki.
I think he's going to be left side. I think he's going to be on the left side. Mock is going to be on the left side. And
maybe a guard on the left side, but I doubt it.
He's a left guard. He's going to be a left guard, and I think Hansy at the right guard, unless they want to switch.
You guys, and don't forget, don't forget the Seminole High School Warhawks in the house. Brandon Walton over there at right tackle. He filled in a lot last year. Of course, initially he was an undrafted free agent with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a hometown kid. He's going to still be on his team, I think, at least for depth. But I would also say that in light of all the offensive line, again, trials and tribulations of 2022, we found some guys that were like, Jason Light's going to let him go to camp this year like he is with Kyle Trask and like he is with Baker Mayfield. And he's like, hey, earn your spot. And I think that Buccaneer fans should be excited about this.
No, absolutely.
You should be excited about that. You see, I told you, Peter, Ray, come a little closer to the computer real quick, a little closer. You see, Pete, I told you Ray likes to yank his crank.
Well, there you go. Yank his crank. Exactly.
Yo, guys, I'm at Harry. I'll show you. While Bill over there yank, and then the letter N and crank. And this is fishing apparel. It's extreme fishing. Look at the back. This is like this was the most reserved shirt they have. But he sends me a few shirts and hats, and I'm telling you what, there's, as far as moving forward, I'd love for Yank and Crank to be a sponsor here in the Sports Web because this guy, the quality of the material and the quality of these shirts is through the roof. And I love Wild Bill. He's all about extreme fishing. Yank it and then crank it down. Peter, yank it and then crank it down. And no, I'm not talking Misador about a Saturday night.
All right, let's go back out to the comments.
I understand the yank and the crank part of it, but Peter, you're the expert.
Don't start with
You're the expert.
Shut up!
All right, go Bolts. Absolutely. Troy says, where's Peter? This is his show. It is not my show. It is all of our shows here.
Hold on. Time out.
The Evolution, yes.
Anything on the south side of Pinellas County, be careful, everybody. We're under a tornado warning at this time. So if you're watching this program right now, just be careful. And
and let me go ahead and go full screen here. Basically, a tornado warning means that radar has detected a tornado that has actually touched down 15 minutes in that area. That's my explanation.
And Roger Shue gave Ray $10 for Tampa Bay Best of the Bay.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
Good stuff right there. Awesome.
Really nice. Yeah, he's gonna yank your crank next.
$10. You don't know what I'll do for $10.
Enough of the
Everything you want.
All the way around the world.
Here's the video of Roger buying you wings, Peter. He said he would do it when he made the bet. I knew he would chicken out. That's coming. Don't worry, Troy. We're working out the details. Troy, calm down. Greek owes him a steak also. Troy says hello to my Greekites.
What's up, Troy Palomalu? Much love, buddy.
Let's go out to Zach Mitchell. If the Bolts win tonight, they will win Game 7 and in advance. Let's talk about that because we're about 30 minutes away from game time as the Tampa Bay Lightning will take on the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 6. They won a thrilling one and 4-2 there. Looked like the Maple Leafs were going to get back in the game. You go to Toronto, you win that game. You got everything.
You're not asking much. Let's just get by this game first, please. Let's not look into Game 7. Let's just forget that there's only 2 games left. Because the hardest thing to do is to come back from behind to have to win 3 consecutive games in a row.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. This is not the same Lightning team, ladies and gentlemen, that we've seen in the past couple of years. Vasilevsky, let me tell you something. Not the same goalie he was 2-3 years ago. He's not seeing the puck from the center ice as much, especially from the top of the point there for some reason. I don't know why. But I will tell you this. Great teams don't allow teams to come back down 2 goals in the final minutes of a period. So let's be very careful. But if they can manage to win tonight, all that pressure goes right on Toronto. And I'll tell you what, kick the Canadians right back up north, right where they belong, because Florida hockey is where it's at in the National Football League.
And
Harry,
I think it's fair also. We'll come out to you, Ray, in just a moment.
Yeah.
This is a veteran-laden team, and yes, they may not be necessarily the same team they've been the last couple of years because you lose Ryan McDonough and you lose guys of veteran leadership. But at the end of the day, you got to play better defense. You can't give up 2-3 goals at a time. Just a disastrous loss there in Game 4. When you're up 4-1, you've got to win that game. You cannot let Toronto. But they proved themselves by going to Toronto and a game-clinching one to win that game, pull it out. So we'll see what they do in Game 6. And I feel like if they can win this game, which I expect them to do, all the pressure, all the onus is going to be on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ray, what do you say?
Well, and that's the thing. No, Harry, you alluded to the fact that Vasilevsky, you want to say that the kid's not standing on his head. Or you want to say that he's responsible. The problem is the Lightning, they haven't been clearing the porch, right? They've been letting the porch get littered with these players, and Vazzy doesn't see where it's coming. But I think that also goes into the fact that the Lightning are playing different hockey this year. Whereas opposed in years past, they were always about precise passing on the points. They've actually been applying pressure the entire game. And I was going into this playoffs, I was like, okay, this is a 2 out of the last 3 Stanley Cup champion. This is an older team. Stamkos and Braden Point and Victor Hedman. I wanted to figure out a reason to say why, experience should beat out. And so far, the Lightning, right, for the first 46 or 56 minutes of the game or 3 periods of 20 minutes, they were playing, attack them at the point, bringing it down. Lightning-like hockey. And then in the last couple of minutes, they're allowing the Maple Leafs to come back and apply that pressure. And that's the reason why Vasilevsky's not seeing those pucks, is because instead of worrying about clearing the porch, the Lightning have been applying the pressure, always on pressure on the point. I think tonight over at the Amalie Arena, you'll see a Lightning team that'll play a little more defensive. They'll cover their marks a little bit more and rely on that right on a stick passing and get this victory and force a Game 7.
Without you saying anything, Ray, I'm going to ask Peter a question. Peter?
Mm-hmm.
What's the arena called here in Tampa?
Amalie.
Okay. Do you know what Amalie is, Peter?
Yes.
Peter, what is it?
Motor oil.
Oh, wow. Yes. See, a guy after my own heart right there. Understand?
Come on, man. Of course, you're.
A lot of people don't know what Amalie is, but I will tell you this. But it was slick. You're correct. But you're correct, Ray. But I've noticed that about Vasi. I don't think his game has regressed. I just always think that, you said it best. You didn't allude to it. You just nailed it on the head. They were clear the porch a lot better for him. The man is having a problem seeing something coming from the point for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe he needs better glasses. I have no idea. But this is not the same goalie, and I've never seen him give up these kind of goals. But anybody who wants to think that before they won that last game, that they would just win 3 games in a row and just move on. Be very careful. Just you got to concentrate on this one.
Well, you got to definitely take one game at a time. We always use that old.
They got to get more physical.
Well, they got to get more physical, and they also can't commit those defensive mistakes, which came back to haunt them in Game 4. Kind of showed up in Game 5 when they allowed that late goal. But you're exactly right. Is Vasilevsky the same? I think maybe we should say the defense isn't the same in front of them because, you know, Vasilevsky can stand on his head all night long. But if you're making those defensive mistakes and continue to give up the puck to a highly skilled team like Toronto, they're going to make you pay what you're watching.
And that's just it, though. Oh, I'm sorry, Pete. No, I was going to say, that's just it, though. This Lightning team, I was wanting to say, okay, I was looking early in these playoffs. In his first series against the Maple Leafs, I was looking playoffs. You said playoffs. I was looking for the excuse. We're a veteran-led team and a Hedman and a Stamkos, and those guys are all in their 70s. So we're supposed to be slowed down. And the fact of the matter is, the Lightning have been applying the pressure. They've been keeping it mostly in the Toronto zone. They've been keeping the pressure on the net. But then there's that last 2 minutes of the game. And if Toronto's betting on that, Toronto's like, don't forget, guys, the Lightning are going to go strong for 58 minutes, and then we can get them the last 2. Tonight, over here, just across the bay at the Amalie Arena, we need these Lightning to go back to the Lightning that won 2 of 3 of the last Stanley Cups, and that is get the pressure, get the crisp passes on the sticks, play your corners well, and then clear the porch and let Vazzy see it. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, you let Vazzy see it, Vazzy will save it.
Absolutely, and they're going to need his best effort tonight, and they're going to not be, they can't make those mistakes to give Toronto those extra opportunities. Let's go back out to these comments. We read that. Let's go out to Zach. If Bolts win tonight, they will win Game 7 and advance. I agree with you on that. Mickey says, what's up, Harry Berg? What's up, Peter Blake? How are you both? Doing great here. Thanks a lot, Mickey, for tuning in as always here on Couple Ray on the Sports Web Network. Dang, look at all those hot girls in the back waiting for a man to buy them a drink and take them home. Thanks a lot, Troy. We appreciate it. Too bad you're not there yourself, right?
Yeah, but Ray's got $10 now, so he can go ahead and buy a drink for somebody.
Hey, not only that, but Troy himself is a cute girl.
Oh, geez.
Could be.
Well, I'm not going to go there with this, guys.
Wouldn't that be the classic, though?
No, it really would be.
Need to be big tonight. Agree. Zach, again. Ray, is it wet down there?
That's what Troy says. It's got to be big tonight, and is it wet down there?
Yeah, and it is wet. It is wet down there.
Yeah, babe. This guy sucks.
Okay, enough of you guys. Hi, Zach. How are you? Roger says, go ahead.
All
right, Mesador says, Harry, our Southside boys are looking rough. Roger says, Harry, that shirt sucks. Go Cubs, go. Come from the north side. Troy says, Southside forever, Halstead Avenue. Mesador, Darnell Wright is a solid pick. We kind of talked about that on Thursday night. I mean, can you add anything else to that? I mean, I think that's the proper pick for the Chicago Bears. You want to protect your quarterback in the Justin Fields. You may have gotten the best offensive lineman. We're going to look back. Maybe he's the next Tristan Wirfs. What do you say, Harry?
I think if they leave him on the right side, he's Tristan Wirfs. They put him on the left side. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think they leave him on the right side at the end of the day.
I don't know. I know nothing.
Peter is upset we didn't go for Will Levis, whatever his name is, and nobody talked about Will Levis because everybody believed that they were going to draft a quarterback. And I told you guys, this was not the quarterback class they're going to draft.
Yeah.
More here, Troy. He went in the second round to Tennessee, who, by the way, they drafted Malik Willis last year, and they've already given up on that kid. And
I would too.
Give up on him.
And that's exactly. You need to go full screen on me as I'm watching this great race 6 at Santa Anita Horse Track right now. So if you hear me pumping my fist a little bit, I'm trying to get this horse home up in the stretch. But anyway, that's what happens when you draft quarterbacks that are not ready. Okay, can you imagine what Anthony Richardson's going to be going through if they decide to make him start week 1 or even week 5? This year, I'm sorry, guys.
Well, listen, that is the great thing about the Colts situation, and we can get into that top 10 of the draft, is that Anthony Richardson has all that potential. That's why I thought he was going to go top 10 in the first place, because he can't be a boom or a bust. and he could definitely work in the system.
Peter, I want to give you credit for that, though, brother, because
with the Shane Steichen, who has worked with Jalen Hurts, and the other great thing is that Richardson is not going to have to start right away because you have Gardner Minshew as a veteran quarterback.
Listen,
who's going to know that?
Do
system.
you honestly think, Peter Blake, Peter H. Blake?
Yes.
Okay. Do you honestly think, and I want Ray's opinion, not yours, on this, but do you honestly think, sir, that any franchise in the National Football League is going to go through and draft someone number 4 overall and say, park your ass on the bench? And if you do, I want you to tell me who they did it to.
Well,
last
don't
20
forget.
years. Go ahead. Just tell me. Bring it up.
I would say in the AFC West, you got the Broncos, you got the Chargers, you got the Raiders, and then you have the Wait, who's the fourth? But, I mean, you got a division that you can possibly do that with the Brandon Jacobs, with a defense there in Vegas. You can possibly let that kid come. But Peter, I'm going to tell you.
I'm talking about Anthony Richardson.
No. Josh Jacobs, you're thinking about the Raiders. Brandon Jacobs.
The Raiders.
I'm talking about Anthony Richardson.
All right.
Yeah. A quarterback that you're going to go top 10, just top 10, and just say, now you're going to sit, let alone top 4. It ain't happening.
Well, I think they have the opportunity to do that, and that's the reason why you drafted in the first place, because you can allow him to sit for the majority of the year, and if it doesn't necessarily work out, then you can get him in there. They're not going to necessarily throw him in there unless he outperforms Gardner Minshew in the preseason.
Would you like to make a wager now?
What's the wager?
Another stake.
That they start him from day one?
Nope. By week 4. I'll give you week 4 that he will be the starter for the Indianapolis Colts.
I'll take.
I want to say week 5.
I'll take your bet. I'll take your bet. You get 4. I'll take your bet on that because I think they're going to sit him. Minshew will start.
I'll tell you what. Will you give me week 5 for 2-1?
Well, wait.
Hold on. That's 2 stakes, Pete.
What are the 4 teams in the South?
Ray, hush. I'll give you week 5.
You'll give me week 5 for 2-1 or even?
2-1.
You're going to get 2-1.
Hey, Harry, who are your 4 teams in the South? You got the Jaguars, who are going to win that division, right? Thank you, brother.
Maybe.
You got the Jaguars, who are going to win that division.
Ray, you do have cash. See, ladies and gentlemen, he upgraded from a shoe box to a cat box.
But then you have the Colts, you have the Jaguars, you have the Tennessee or the Titans,
Texans.
And the Houston Texans. You got the Tennessee Titans, who just drafted who again at quarterback?
My boy from Tennessee.
No.
Oh, Kentucky, Will Levis.
Levis is the guy.
And you still have Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, right?
Correct. And hold on. You asked who the South is. You have the Texans, you have the Titans, you have the Jaguars, and you have the Colts. That's who you got.
I think that you could have a Richardson starting in Indianapolis because of the fact that even though I don't want to say with a Leonard, the Colts are rebuilding with the offensive line like they have, like Quentin Nelson. But I mean, you're talking about the Jaguars, you're talking about the Texans who are going to play defense. So I mean, why wouldn't they want to see what they have with their young quarterback there by week 4 or 5? I think that's a pretty good bet.
Or you sit him down and you let him learn the offense and get him ready to go. And you don't throw him in there because
are we talking about Will Levis or Anthony Richardson?
I have no idea.
I'm talking about both of these quarterbacks.
Okay, which one do you think is going to have more pressure on him to start?
I don't think it's Richardson. I think it's
Levis.
I don't think it's any of them. To tell you the truth, I think they went to good situations.
Yeah,
because you already have a veteran quarterback in place. You have a Tannehill who knows that offense. Who, look, if he falters, then you can go with Levis. And the reason why Levis dropped is because his numbers last year, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, was disappointing, and he has a lot of things that he needs to improve on consistently. But
Harry,
yes, sir.
I want to drop this, Pete, because I'm going to buy you those wings because you 100% want it. Richardson going number 4, you 100% want it. But would you be willing to double down with me and say, of course, it would mean 2 years out, which, by the way, how long it takes you, Pete, to pay back your bets, double down that 2 years from now, 2025 season, Richardson is not your starter there in Indianapolis.
I mean, how many years do you think he's the starter? He's not the starter in the next couple of years. I think there's a long-term commitment there to Anthony Richardson. And if there's
Okay.
a long-term commitment to Anthony Richardson, then that's the reason why the Colts are what the Colts are. And that's what bad franchises do. They can't go into this expecting Anthony Richardson just because you drafted him 4th overall. I wouldn't expect him to go in there and be the eventual starter. I think they're going to have Minshew start first and then basically let him learn that offense, maybe use him on some packages where you can use his mobility. But besides that, I don't expect him to start right away. And I think I'm going to definitely win this bet once again.
You know what? I got to tell you, I really, really wish, and I pray that you're correct on this, because I think that young man could be an absolute stud. I think he has the capabilities of actually being better than. Hold on.
Cam Newton. Cam
Newton.
Newton.
Oh.
He really does.
Right.
Okay, he's faster and stronger, believe it or not. But he's got to get the time to understand the speed of the National Football League. That's my biggest reservation, and especially with injuries. I mean, let's just
for
be.
me, it's 53% completion percentage, right? So
right.
it's
that can increase because in
Correct.
Florida, they had a wide open offense. There was no anything dink and dunk. Everything was 20 yards or better. It was the college version of Bruce Arians' risk it, no biscuit type
So
of
that was
offense.
post Kyle Trask, though, right? Post
Correct.
Kyle Trask.
There was post Kyle Trask. But in the National Football League, and especially with Indianapolis, it's a lot more of a friendly type of offense to learn because they have a really good running game. They got really good blocking. You got to remember, they have arguably the best guard in the entire National Football League,
Nelson.
who's going to be. I mean, Quentin Nelson's just unbelievable. They have really good they have decent wide receivers, but with that running game, there's going to be a lot of screens. There's going to be some RPO action with them. There's going to be a lot of hands offs. There's going to be a lot of dumps over, just in front of the safeties and behind the linebackers.
Harry, that division is the Jaguars' division to lose, and then you still have Derrick Henry there in Tennessee.
Don't be too sure about that, Ray.
Really?
We'll see.
Yeah, don't be too sure about that, Ray. I'm going to tell you something right now. I want to jump on the Jacksonville bandwagon, but I really watched this team extremely closely. They went on about a 4-week run that they looked really decent, but after really breaking down this tape, they got a lot of holes in this team. And I'm still going to tell you something about a particular quarterback that I still don't think I'm wrong about. He's not all that in a bag of chips. They are definitely in a weak division, and they should run away with it. But let me tell you something. There's going to be a little bit of parity in the AFC South this year, and I will touch on that with you when you and I are one-on-one, or maybe you, Peter, and I are one-on-one. You understand what I mean?
I agree. And I tell you right now, you talk about the draft. The Houston Texans, to me, absolutely killed it throughout the whole process, especially with the 2 first-round picks and the C.J. Stroud. And then also a Will Anderson Jr. at the end of the day. So.
I wish that they would get rid of Davis Mills and give him the opportunity to play football somewhere. And I think if Tampa has a chance to get him, I'm not saying he's a starter, but I'm telling you right now, he's battle tested. I don't know how much more battle tested you could possibly be. He got the shit kicked out of him on every single game that he played in, but he stood strong and tall in the pocket, and he still tried to deliver the football.
Hey, Harry, I still want to know the whole Lovie Smith and the fact that Houston wins that last game last year to give the Chicago Bears that first number 1 overall. I would love, hopefully down the road, maybe 3 to 5, 10 years down the road, before I'm off this big blue orb of ours we call Earth, I hope that we learn, this was the reason why Lovie Smith. Lovie knew that he wasn't going to be retained for 2023. Lovie realized it was the same thing that happened with the Bucs back in 2017 with, Dirk Cotter, and the same thing. He knew he wasn't going to be retained, and of course the Texans win that game. But the players had to get behind him too. So I'd still like to know the full story on the reason why the Texans won that last game and gave Chicago that first number 1 overall pick.
That's a great question. But talking about Lovie Smith, Peter, I'll let you get back to it just a second.
Yeah.
It's pretty. Can I call it like it is? It's pretty shitty what happened to him. Okay?
Sure it is.
I mean, he went to the NFC Championship game with Chicago, or he made the playoffs. It was a 10-win team, and you fired that head coach.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Tampa. They make him the man.
Mm-hmm.
And then they screw him out of a job, and they kind of backdoored him. Now he goes to Houston. He's playing with he's coaching the team that I don't think anybody in this panel can name 2 defensive players, let alone their offensive weapons who've been hurt all day long.
JJ Watt.
Okay.
JJ Watt.
No, but he's not there. But what I'm trying to say is, what else was he supposed to do? That man, you know how people are playing for a contract and the players are playing for a contract? Well, Lovey's also showing that he's playing to say, hey, you know what? We're not giving up, guys. You're not only playing for your contract, but I'm also playing for my reputation.
Well, I just wouldn't have taken the job. I mean, I know you need a job and you want a job at the end of the day and you want to get back in the NFL, but if the franchise is that bad, you can make a choice. You can make a choice. You could definitely make.
How competitive were they last year, Peter? How many times did I take the Houston Texans and they covered?
I agree.
Last year, Ray, you guys remember because I said they're playing hard football.
It comes down to winning games, and they wanted to go a different direction. And did Lovie Smith screw them? Well, the talk is that they wanted a Bryce Young, and they didn't get a chance to get him. But I feel like C.J. Stroud could possibly be a little bit better than Bryce Young. Let's go back out to these comments. Have a nice day. Thank you, Jimmy. Bye. Okay. Already to Peter, look at the super chat. I did. Misador, wait, did Ray say he'd show Harry? What the hell? Keep it G-rated. Robert says, I got a B+ grade. What do you guys think about the draft? I mean, you looked at it here. I know you're not the biggest draft guy, but overall, I thought the Bucs did everything they wanted to do, and that they got more fast. They got more physical here. They have some players that have lots of potential. Again, going back to what Jason Light said in the presser, some of these players, the 3rd-round pick and Yaya Diaby, his best.
Yaya Diaby, he's good. He's a good edge rusher. He can stick his foot in the ground. He can stick his hand in the ground, and he can actually come off the side. He's not ever going to play in the interior part of this line. He is going to be a specialist on the left side of the line. He's going to wreak havoc. Lacks a little skill with stopping the run, but look, man, Tampa Bay's got really good linebackers for that, especially when they're coming off the other side. Ray, what do you think of it?
No, I love it. I have no idea where we were at. I was just checking out all the eye candy walking by here. It's a party down here at the world famous First Sports Bar and Grill. I know, right? Getting ready for the Lightning game here. Just under 8 minutes. Get the Lightning against the Maple Leafs at 7 o'clock. You also have the Rays versus the White Sox. I still can't believe, Harry, you wore that shirt and you came in here and bragging about it. But I mean, we'll see at the end of tonight if Tampa Bay remains Tampa Bay.
All right.
You know, and I'll tell you what, with the 153rd pick, when they picked up, and I don't know the guy's name, so I'm going to say it anyways, Servachier Dennis. I have seen.
Yes.
Okay, I've seen this kid play.
Right.
Not the fastest guy in the world. Sideline to sideline, he's really, really fast. He's a little bit undersized when it comes to weight.
226.
I'll tell you what, the dude plays like his hair is on fire. He's like all over, the head's all over the place.
Right.
I'm not kidding you.
And he could definitely be a guy that you use on special teams. You could also use him at safety. I doubt it. I think they're going to use him at linebacker. And I feel like Todd Bowles and Jason Light, they're trying to get more athletic, once again, faster on that side of the ball and also get after the passer. And some of these players right away won't come in and contribute, but eventually if they develop correctly, they definitely may be main contributors on this team.
Pete, I'm glad you said that because when we go back to Thursday night with the Buccaneers and, of course, number 1 over their first-round pick, and you see Jason Light, you see Todd Bowles there in the war room over at the Advent Health Training Facility or One Buck Place, and I mean, again, the moment I saw that, and I hate to be negative Nanny all the time, but the moment I saw Todd Bowles on the same page with Jason Light, and they take Chancey, they take the defensive lineman. I'm like, really? Todd Bowles only has 1 season? If we have 3 catastrophic injuries this year, no matter what happens, Todd Bowles is out as your coach, and you want to go ahead and blow it all up and start over again, even though you got one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the National Football League. And so I know it's weird because, I'm always like, when everyone's looking here, I try to look there. But when I saw him and Jason Light on the same page on Thursday night, I'm like, yeah, that's what you want to see, Bucs fans. You want to see your head coach on the same page as his GM, and that is to continue to be dominant here in the NFC South.
And I think it comes back down to the first-round pick. Nobody knew, and even Cansey was asked, did he know that the Bucs were interested in him? He had no idea. They talked to him one time. You have to listen to the call because he completely acts like he's dumbfounded. And the thing that I like about him is I heard him on the radio yesterday on Tom Krasnicki's show on 95.3 WDAE, and he was asked, how's it going to feel for you to play Bryce Young twice a year? And he said in his attitude, Bryce Young is going to have to play me twice a year. That is the kind of attitude you want from your first round pick.
Pete, shout out.
Listen to me, man. I'm gonna go with your shout out real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say shout out to Tom Krasnicki because I heard that too, Pete. I'm listening to it live on the radio, and you got him talking to Krasnicki, and he says, about the fact that he's facing Bryce Young, the first overall pick by the Carolina Cardinals or Carolina Panthers, and he says, no, Bryce Young's got to face me. I'm glad you said that because shout out to T-Kraz. I give him a lot of grief. I give him on that, and I love that T-Kraz even said right after the fact, Bucs fans love to hear that, and we do.
Yeah, you do. And a lot of people are saying, and I put this story out there on Facebook, and Jason Light joked about it, said he's, possibly the next John Randall. I'm joking. Well, I wrote it up where the Bucs do have history with John Randall, and this makes a valid point in that at the time when that organization was trying to get John Randall, because they had his brother Urban Randall play on this team, they were trying to strictly make him a linebacker instead of leave him at defensive tackle where Randall wanted to play. So eventually he signed with the Minnesota Vikings, became a Hall of Famer, like 132 and a half sacks. And that's what's different about a good organization like the Bucs. They're able to give him a chance to play at the defensive tackle and not say, well, because he doesn't fit the 3-4 defense, we have no place for him. They're versatile. They're going to make a place for him. They're going to give him an opportunity to capitalize on his strengths. And highlighting
was that Floyd the Rock Peters that tried to make Randall a linebacker instead of a defensive lineman? I'm trying to remember back. I mean, was it?
I think it was. I'm trying to think. It's Floyd Peters was a defensive.
Floyd Peters, the Rock. Yeah, I mean, I remember that because they were like, we're gonna do this to you, and it's like,
yes, go ahead, Harry.
I do want to say something. Had he not got picked up where the Buccaneers picked him up, don't be too sure he would have stayed into the first round. Okay?
Oh yeah.
This guy could have been picked up in the second. But I'm telling you now, if he pans out like I think he's going to, because after Big Game James was talking about him, it made me look this particular player up. So I started going back and I started looking, and buddy, let me tell you something. If he turns out the way I think he could have been, he could have been a top 10 pick.
Sure. But if people are slow and infatuated with the size, they say, 6'1", 286. Well, he's as big as Aaron Donald. He's as big as Warren Sapp, and those guys turned out.
He's 5 pounds heavier than Aaron Donald.
Right.
He needs to put on just a little bit more weight, just a smidge in today's NFL.
That's all it is.
But the jury's not out on Joe. The jury's not back in yet on Joe Tryon and Shoyinka or Logan Hall there. Is it really though, Harry? Because I'm telling you what.
On Troy Shoyinka, I think we need to turn the page on him. He's going to be a one-trick pony. He can't play the run, and he's not going to mysteriously just get better overnight at that position of what he was doing. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
Now, could he get better now because the defense is going to be a lot faster? Possibly. But I would turn the page on it. But I'll tell you this right now, man, I really love that pick. And, Ray, I wanted to tell you about pick number 171. This is the one that I'm super excited about. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers picked up a tight end, Payne Durham. He's an above-average run blocker. He's an above-average pass protector.
Correct.
But I'll tell you what, he's an absolute horse in the field after catching passes. I went ahead and started looking at all these players that they picked up, and I started looking at them a little bit more. Let me tell you something. There was a method to what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did in this draft. They really went after some speed and some people with good high character. And I'm not being a smart ass when I'm saying this.
No.
Really good high character. And it isn't that selfish me type of mentality, because I'm telling you now, this team's identity on offense is going to completely change than what you have seen in the years past. It's going to go from the risk it, no biscuit to being a little bit more boring.
Because of Kyle Trask.
You're damn right. Not just Kyle Trask, but I promise you, I promise you one thing. They will run this football. I made this prediction. They will be a top 5 running team in the National Football League this year. And I'm talking about a team that finished dead 32nd in the league.
Yeah, and they didn't draft a running back, so they're going to run with Rashard White and Keyshawn Vaughn, and we're going to see
Keyshawn Vaughn, yes.
Don't be too surprised they pick somebody else's trash bucket up.
Zeke Elliott, maybe Zeke. Maybe Zeke comes in here.
Some of these players are going to be getting cut. There are going to be a lot of running backs getting cut.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something. You don't have to overpay for a running back. With this offensive line, with what they did in getting Mock and moving Wirfs over to the left side, you got your center. Let me tell you something. And then bringing a tight end that can play, man, Ray, you're going to get some wood because they're going to be playing a lot of 12 personnel on the goal line. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be nothing but just cheese graters just going across the line.
I've got wood right now.
Jumbo package. Stop with that. Guys, I tell you what, let's go ahead and wrap it up with this comment, and then we'll get out of here because the Lightning are coming on right now. I want to watch this game. I don't want to do a show during the Lightning game at this point. So, Ray, you can stay on, but let's just go ahead and finish it up here. Roger, I bet you a stake. Bears have a better record than the Bucks. Bears are playing Bucks at a couple Ray J this year. We should all get together and go. We'll see. We'll definitely.
I'm not ready to make that prediction yet. You have to remember the Bears had the first pick in the draft for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They had the worst record in the National Football League. It's very difficult from going from worst to first. Although there is a little something that I know about that a lot of people don't know, and I've actually shared it on this show. The Chicago Bears lost 7 ball games this year by 1 score or less. And they did it with a defense that has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. Okay. So can they win more games than the Bucks this year? Probably. They could. Probability? Maybe not. Tampa, the Buccaneers are playing in a very soft division this year. They both are. Especially with Aaron Rodgers being gone. So that's kind of a coin flip, but that's a really good comment. But I'm not going to take that bet yet, Mr.
And I'll tell you right now, I think the Lions are definitely going to be something to handle. They absolutely improved in the draft. In fact, I think they killed it. But beyond a shadow of a doubt here, gentlemen.
All the prognosticators have given the Detroit Lions a C-, if not a D+ on their draft. Especially, like I told you, it was because of the running back and what they did. They had a chance to take a running back.
Yeah.
They had a chance to take a running back, and they decided to take who? Give me a break, man.
Tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines here. Welcome to A Cup of Ray here live on the Sports Club. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? All right. I guess she is not there. I don't know what's going on. They traded DeAndre Swift today for basically nothing.
Well, they drafted the running back out of Alabama.
Right. Right. So that was the reason why they drafted him.
He's a one-trick pony, that kid.
Who, Gibbs?
No.
Oh, DeAndre Swift.
No. The running back from Alabama. I'm trying to remember.
Gibbs.
Gibbs, that's what I said.
Yeah, sorry.
He's not I don't think
he's not a 3-down back.
He doesn't have to be a 3-down back. You got Montgomery, and here's the thing. With Gibbs, you can move him all over the place, and the comparison is Alvin Kamara, so they feel like at the end of the day, they upgraded.
Here's the problem with David Montgomery, and especially as someone that knows David Montgomery. David Montgomery doesn't get rolling until he has the ball 14 or 15 times in the course of a game. And when he was sharing all that time, that's why he never really got that ball rolling.
Yeah.
So that's I love Dave. I love me some David Montgomery.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
He's still one of the better running backs in the National Football League, but he needs the ball, and he needs to be the featured running back. And apparently, I don't think he's going to running back up.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's why I was actually going back to last year with the Hard Knocks and the Lions being on there and Dan Campbell and what the Lions, the gritty team that they are. What DeAndre Swift, the guy had success early on. I mean, they're like, hey, this guy is the guy. But then he gets the injury. And the fact of the matter is that the Lions weren't dependent upon him with Hutchinson there on defensive line, and the fact that the Lions were doing it elsewhere. Although they've got a little bit of a problem this year with their wide receivers because of the NFL and its suspensions due to the gambling. Harry, I know Peter wanted to get out of here, but let's talk about that real quick. The Lions have those 6 players that were associated with the team last year. They had 2 of them that suspended indefinitely, 4 of them suspended for 6 games. 6 games means they were gambling from the facility, but not on the NFL. 2 players on the NFL. And what do you say moving forward with the legalized gambling? What do we, as fans of the National Football League, what do we have to know when there's these suspensions handed down or these, problems with the players and their gambling?
I implore everybody that has an ounce of love for the National Football League, okay, and what it does for people's families and the camaraderie it brings all the men and women in the United States and even including around the world. They got to ask one question, and we as the fans demand to know, what were they gambling on? Now, I'm going to touch on something we were talking about well over a year ago when I, the professional handicapper, who's an advocate for gambling in a
Yes.
responsible way,
Preach on.
okay, that I'm an advocate for gambling in a responsible way, has stood on a soapbox and has been screaming from every highest hill and mountain that they should not allow gambling in sports books to be in the venues that the teams play in. It's going to cause corruption. It already has. We, ladies and gentlemen, we've only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
It could be your team next. It could be your team. And you know what's really bad? It could be Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, knock on wood, that he bets against his own team. How do you feel as a fan who spent $200-300 just to get a ticket in the nosebleed seats and know that your game is already fixed? Or the referee who's giving the signs to someone in the stands before the play goes and he's got 50 large that this team doesn't get the first down. This kind of shenanigans is going to happen. And I promise you it already has. So we, as the fans, if we care about the
integrity
the
Yeah.
integrity of the
Integrity,
National
yeah.
Football League or the game, whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, football, we need to know, were they betting on their own team? And if they were, what happened? That's the issue.
Thank you, Harry.
All right, guys. We'll go ahead and wrap it up right there.
Peter wants to get out of here. No, Peter.
No, but I do have a question for Peter.
No,
Ray,
Harry,
stay out.
No, Harry, stay out here. We'll let Pete get out of here. He wants to watch the Lightning game.
We've
You and I
already
can talk
talked about
this.
We've already talked about this one time, okay? But I want an answer from both of you. What happens if it did happen to a Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin here in the States? I'm sorry, in the state of Florida. What happens if it
Good
happens
question,
to Mike
Peter.
Evans or Chris Godwin?
In the
Because
state of
now
Florida.
in the state of Florida, where it is against the law, do they just get penalized for some games, or would there be some legal charges that come up with them? Ray, you and I have already talked. What do you think,
Yes.
Pete?
I mean, I don't think there's any. I mean, I think there's certainly a possibility for legal charges at the end of the day. But
Is there?
I mean, if it happens,
Well, hold on. Is there? Because I know, and I've talked to somebody about this. I know because I've talked to someone about this in great length, who's a former Major League Baseball player. And let me be very candid when I say this. He's not very happy about it.
well, I don't think there's a lot of people that be very happy about it. But football players have been able to escape legal recourse to a certain degree. I mean, you have your incidents with Michael Vick and Plexico and guys like that. But overall, it's usually what you have to worry about is the NFL and the suspension. And the NFL has basically said in so many words, you're done if you do that for a year. So, hopefully nobody goes and does that because you don't want to see the consequences, especially with wide receivers. But the great thing about it is you're never going to see that, knock on wood, from Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, because they're upstanding professionals. Not only
did you ever think that Michael Jordan was going to gamble? Hold on, come on, let's get out of our own little head here. Anybody think that Michael Jordan was going to bet on sports? Huh? Nobody. Did anybody really think that Pete Rose was going to go gamble? I'm talking about some ultimate superstars. I'm not talking about Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's a superstar, but he's not even in the same. He's not even in the same zip code as a Pete Rose or
here's
Michael
the problem,
Jordan.
Harry, is that we demand.
Understand what I'm saying? We need to know as fans
Yes.
what's going to happen if it happens to your team. How are you going to feel about it? Listen, I'd love to hang out and stay, Ray. I can't. I had company that came over. It was kind of prearranged. I love both of you. I was really glad to come out here and express what I thought that Tampa did, with this draft. I think they nailed it. There was a couple of teams. The Detroit Lions completely went in the tank with this draft, in my opinion, because they just didn't do the right things. But let's pick up this narrative again real soon, Pete, because Monday. I do want to talk about
Monday night
gambling in the National Football League, because we need to figure it out. We as fans demand to know, what they did, because all they're going to do is sweep it up under the rug. Very similar to what one particular quarterback has done in Cleveland. Everything's forgiven. Everything's forgotten.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen because the NFL is in charge, and the NFL in this whole instance is somewhat hypocritical because they have gotten in bed with the gambling industry. Thanks a lot for your time here, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1250 Chicago Sports.
Got to say one thing.
Yes.
I'm Harry the Greek. I approve this message, and make sure I always tell you this one thing before I go. Keep your bets low and your returns high. And if I pissed you off, I did my job. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, Harry the Greek. All right, go ahead and finish it out here, Mr. Tampa Bay Rays.
Peter, first of all, before you exit stage left, thank you, brother. I love you. Thanks for coming in here tonight, making this a little bit more fun. Let's go Lightning. Let's go Rays.
All right, sounds good. Go ahead and finish it out, my friend.
You know what? That's probably over the years one of the most rewarding things about this entire thing is that when we're talking, us back and forth, we're talking about ball, and it's like, oh, I got an opinion, you got an opinion, everyone has an opinion, like buttholes, but having my guys come in here and talking and locking it down was fantastic. I can't see anything, so I'm gonna put my glasses. I sat down after I got gas up the corner here.
Well, we got all the comments, so you just end the show here, and I'll go ahead and play your intro.
All right, brother. So thanks for joining me. Again, I want to go ahead and thanks to Yank and Crank and Wild Bill. And if you guys go to yankandcrank.com, check out this fantastic apparel. Peter, Harry, thanks for coming in here. It's been a cup of Ray. You guys know how I end every one of these things. Everyone needs to know someone cares. This weekend, tonight, as the Lightning get to Game 7 and the Rays continue to have success there on the road in Chicago, everyone needs to know someone cares tonight. Why don't you want to let them know? Thanks for joining me for a cup of Ray from down here at the world-famous First Sports Bar and Grill on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the edge of St. Petersburg. Y'all have a great Saturday evening. We'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.